Why are people with children under the impression that the world needs to bend for them because they decided to have a child?
Hey beautiful people, how you doing today? Check out Destiny here and welcome back to my channel. How you are doing? Hope you guys are doing great. So today's video is a video of a sister who came online to talk about people that feels like parents, people that have children feel like people have to bend for them because they are parents and because they have children. This lady went on to talk about her experience with a parent on the airplane where she was traveling. After her picking a seat, she got to a seat and found out that this woman and her child was there. And she was like, oh, that's my seat. And this woman wanted to make sure she sits with her child and not in a different seat. And she was just going on about how if this woman really wanted to sit with her child, she should have done the right thing before even getting on the plane, probably checking on time so that she and her child could sit together. Anyway, guys, let's go hear the sister story, then we'll come back and talk.
Why are people with children under the impression that the world needs to bend for them because they decided to have a child? I'm tired of it. The other day, I was boarding a plane and I had my boarding pass out and I was like, okay, I'm sitting in row 22, seat F, because that's the seat I picked when I checked in 24 hours prior because I wanted to make sure I had a window seat. I am very particular about my seating on an airplane and I want to be comfortable. I want a window seat and that is what I picked. In full confidence, I walk up to 22F and there is a woman and her son sitting in my row. So I thought, maybe they messed it up. So I did that thing where you pull out your papers, look at the seat, look at your papers and look at them because I didn't want to be like, you're sitting in my seat. I wanted to, nudge them so maybe they would just get up and move when they realized they were in the wrong spot. She wasn't picking up the message. So I said, hey, I think you're in my seat, even though I knew she was in my seat. I was being polite because it could have been an honest mistake. She goes, oh, well, you can actually sit in my seat. It's over there. And points. I was like, excuse me? You don't even have the decency to ask if you can stay in my seat, the one that I selected that's on my boarding pass? I looked back at her seat, which I shouldn't even have done, but I was like, no, that is an aisle seat. I want a window seat, so I would appreciate if I could sit in my seat. I don't know if she started glitching or if something I said just triggered something in her brain, but she was just looking at her kid and looking at me and looking at her kid, and I was just waiting there like, okay, I'm not going to change my mind. I want my window seat. Move. If it was so important for you to sit beside your kid, why did you not do the check-in when it opened 24 hours ago when I did it? Because when I checked in, there was multiple sets of 2 seats on the plane. Multiple. If I had a kid, I probably would have paid to make sure I am sitting beside my child. So I'm about to give this woman the boot, and the guy behind me goes, hey, I have a window seat. I don't mind sitting in the aisle seat so they can be together. And I'm just like, you should have not said anything. I didn't want this woman to get away with it. And people are going to be like, oh my God, you're so mean. No, because she was disrespectful. I wasn't about to get into a whole argument, even though I very much could have because that was my seat. I was like, you know what? Fine, I will sit in your window seat and you can sit in the aisle seat. So the woman was able to sit with her child. Good for her. But next time, bestie, maybe check in on time so you can sit beside the child you want to sit beside so much, and don't be pointing at people telling them where to sit when they've selected their seats in advance like you could have done. Cha.
Please go down in the comment section and share your thought. Let me know what you think about this sister's story and situation down in the comment section, because this got a lot of people talking and a lot of people came on to share their thoughts and their own story of how a parent has been so entitled just because they have a child. They feel like they have the right to certain things. Let's go hear other people's thoughts on this, then we'll come back and talk. But you please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts. I'd love to know what you think about this conversation, okay?
Are people with children under the impression that the world needs to bend for them because they...
Oh my God, so much hate for this, but it makes sense in my head. Have y'all ever started to think that people that are parents, like the ones that she mentioned, and people who just walk around the world thinking that everyone has to accommodate for them, are the same kids that in school were like overly extroverted, overly friendly, and they would even get into shy kids' faces with, oh, hi, 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 hi. Shy kids would try to ignore them, but the shy kid would then get in trouble because being shy is not the norm. However, being friendly is. So the shy kid had to accommodate to that kid and be uncomfortable, but that kid was never made to accommodate to anyone. Y'all ever think that that is what they grow up to be?
Why are people with children under the impression that the world needs to bend for them?
I just had an experience similar to this, except it wasn't anybody with children. It was 3 grown adults. So I recently had a flight, and on this particular leg of the flight, I purchased, well, not purchased, but I selected an aisle seat because it was a shorter leg and, you know, whatever. Now, I usually am one of the first people to board the plane because I have an ID that allows me to do so. So I usually will board, put my bag up, use the bathroom, you know, whatever. And so that's what I did. And so I sat, and there were 2 seats beside me, the middle and the window seat. So I'm sitting, the plane is filling, and there's the row right across from me is filled with 3 individuals, 3 adults who clearly know each other, and they're excited to be going wherever they're going. So now as boarding proceeds, a very well-dressed black man pulls up and addresses the people in the aisle across from me and tells the man in the middle seat, "You're in my seat." And the 3 adults have this, they have this confused look on their face, like they have no idea how this happened. And I'm assuming the dude in the middle seat was supposed to be sitting in the seat next to me, because then he tells, he kind of looks over at the seat next to me, and then the dude in the aisle picks up what he's putting down, and he's like, "Okay, I'll just sit in your seat then." So then he comes and he sits beside me. And I noticed that shit, and I ain't like that shit. So anyway, boarding proceeds, and it's me, the guy beside me, and our window seat is still vacant. Then this woman pulls up. She pulls up and she addresses the people in the row across from me, and she looks at them and they look at her, and she tells the bitch in the window seat, "You're in my seat. That's my seat." And they kind of do the same thing. They look over at the empty window seat that's in my row, and they look back up at her, and they're all looking at each other, like acting like they have no idea what happened. And I don't know who suggested it, but the woman in the aisle ends up sitting in the window seat. So we all have to get up. This is the second time I've had to get up, obviously, but we all get up and we let her sit down. And so when she sat down, I said, "Just so you know, they did that on purpose." And she was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "That's the second time that they've accidentally sat in someone's seat." I said, "There's no way that there's no way that it happened 2 times in a row. Like, they did it on purpose." And I look over at them and I said, "And you guys are all jerks. If y'all wanted to sit together, you should have bought 3 seats that were next to each other, not sit in someone else's seat and try to force them to sit somewhere else." And so of course they didn't say nothing. They just looking at me because I done called them on their shit. And then the lady next to me, the lady in the window seat, she's irritated because I'm sure there's a reason why she chose the left side of the plane. Like, if she's anything like me, like, I can only fall asleep on my left side, so I choose the left side of the plane if I want to lean up on the window seat or whatever. And now y'all done made her sit on the right side of the plane. I don't know. I just feel like, if you're traveling somewhere and you're traveling with your buddies and your friends and y'all all want to sit together, purchase your seats early. And if you're not lucky enough to get seats next to each other, tough shit. You have to be apart from each other for what, an hour? Get the fuck over it.
Up to 22F, and there is a woman and her son sitting in my...
Okay, so this is different from my normal nursing content, but I wanted to chime in on this conversation about trading seats with people on an airplane. So I always make sure and book a window seat for myself because I have really bad plane anxiety, and I also get motion sick very, very easily. So I need the window seat so I can keep the window shade open, because if it's closed and if it's a choppy flight, I'm gonna be throwing up in 0.2 seconds. So that being said, me and my husband, we are boarding this flight, and as we're walking back to our seats, I look and there's a lady with her baby in our seat. And I'm like checking my boarding pass, and I'm looking at the row, and I'm like, am I correct in this? And as we get closer, yes, she's in our seat. And I'm kind of looking at her like, "I know you're in my seat, ma'am." And so I walk up and she says, "Hi, I'm so sorry. I have the aisle seat, but I was hoping that we could switch and I could have the window seat because I need it for my baby." And if it was just her, I would have said no. I would have been like, "No, I really need the window seat for myself. That's why I paid extra for it and booked it that way." But because she had the baby, I felt bad. And I gave in, and I told her, I said, "I'm fine switching seats." I said, "as long as you keep the window shade open." And I told her, I said, because I get really motion sick, like, very easily, and I need the window shade open so that I'm not throwing up during this flight. And she said, "Okay, yeah, that's fine. I can do that." 10 minutes into the flight, and she's pulling the window shade down. And she says, "Oh, I'm sorry, my baby's asleep and I really need it as dark as possible for them." And I'm telling you, I had half a mind to say, like, you should have booked a window seat. You know, like, I'm trying to be nice and help you because you clearly weren't prepared. You know, you should have booked your own window seat if you needed it, you know, that badly. And now here I am, the rest of the flight. I've got all 3 little vents turned on me because I'm not trying to be nice to her anymore. And I'm like fanning myself and I'm sweating and I'm like horribly nauseous, like have my eyes on the barf bag the entire time because I don't know if I'm going to make it to the bathroom if I have to get up. And by the time we landed, I had this like terrible headache because I had been nauseous the entire flight. And at this point, I'm completely miserable. And yeah, that day I basically told myself, I was like, I will never switch seats with somebody again if they are not offering a fair seat trade. You know, if you're not trying to trade a window for a window, don't even ask because I'm not doing it. Your lack of preparation does not constitute an emergency on my part. If you need a window seat, then you need to book a window seat whenever you book the flight, and don't just expect people to be willing to switch with you because we pay for those seats, you know? So anyways, that's just my 2 cents.
Why are people with children under the impression that the world needs to bend?
Okay, so this is a very controversial opinion, but stick with me till the end of this before you comment. I truly believe that having children is one of the most selfish acts you can commit. Just looking at the socio-political climates we have in the world today and seeing how bad our climate crisis will be in, let's say, the next 50 years, I don't know how, in your right mind, you can think the act of bringing another person into this world who has to live through all of that is an act of like selflessness. And especially when you take into consideration the most common reasons for why people have kids, it's to me, it's blatantly obvious that it's only self-interested. Like, people say things like they want to carry their genes down, or they want to pass down the family name, or that, you know, they had bad childhood, so they want to give this new child the childhood they never had. Like, even that sentence, do you hear it? Is that not self-interested? Does that really take into account what the child needs, wants, you know what I mean? Like, innately, it's not about the child. And what boggles my mind the most is the fact that childless women who make the conscious decision to not bring new children into this world are seen as the selfish ones, when people who have children are seen as the selfless ones. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Unless you're fostering or adopting children that are already onto this earth and need homes, you're acting in self-interest. Like, to me, it's so clear, but it feels like this is not the clear understanding that most of society has. And when I try to think back to why, you know, having children is seen in such a selfless light, I think it makes sense like a century ago when, you know, we all lived as a community. So if you were producing a child, you were also producing it for the community, and the community also bared, you know, the benefits of having a new person to help out. Maybe that's what it came from. But in modern society today, having a child to me seems selfish. But let me know what you guys think, because this is just how I perceive the world. But let me know.
Why are people with children under the impression that the world needs to bend for them?
So you could go back and watch that entire video if you need to, but I do not have the words to tell you how right she is. Oh my goodness, this entitlement of having a child and needing the world to bend backwards for your child is not a thing. Listen, if I'm gonna go on a plane with my child, I am going to make sure that I am sitting next to my child the entire time. Like, no one should be bending backwards for your kid, and you should not expect people to just willingly give up their seat for you or your child. That's not how the world works. Like, just because you have a kid doesn't mean you're entitled to everybody's kindness. Because what if she's having a bad day? What if someone just does not want to give up the seat that they paid extra for? You know what I mean? Like, no, absolutely not. She is 100% right. If you need to go back and see the whole thing, you should, because, oof, girl, have a blessed day. Because, yes, you are right.
Why are people with children under the impression that the world needs to bend for them?
100% go back and watch our video, but I'll give you Reader's Digest version. Basically, she was boarding a plane, did all the right things, checked in early, wanted to get a window seat. She gets on the plane, is trying to like kind of check subtly to like indicate to the people who were in her seat, a mother and a son, you're in my seat, you need to fucking move. And they're just like, well, you can sit in that seat. No, ma'am. I've talked about this before. This happened to me similarly. I took my daughter to Disney on Ice, and there was a family who was like, oh, we took this seat because, you know, we wanted to be all together. We have a lot of stuff. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I specifically picked out these seats. I bought these seats. I want my seats that I paid for. And they were like, well, if you really want us to move. And I'm like, yeah, I want you to move because those are the seats I paid for. This goes beyond parenting. These people would be entitled with or without kids. The only thing that they're doing now is that they're teaching their children how to be entitled. Because if I'm going to go on a plane or any event where I feel like I need to sit next to my child, because of course I would need to sit next to my child. My kids are 5 and 1. I need to be with them. I'm going to plan ahead. I'm going to make sure that I have a seat next to them. If I have to pay extra because I did not do my due diligence and do it on time, I'm going to pay extra. I'm going to take that fee. I'm going to put my kids in a situation where I can be next to them. So this isn't like just people with kids. This is just entitled people across the board creating another round of entitled little wads for the world to have to deal with, because that is absolutely ridiculous. Like, they're just now they have like an accessory to their entitled, because they would be those people that would like steal your seat anyway, but now they're like, oh, my kid's here. I don't care. And I'm saying this as a mom. I don't care, because that to me says that you were not a responsible enough parent to take the steps that you needed to take to ensure that you sat next to your kid. And in my case, if it got to the point where I could not sit next to my child and they were young enough, like the way that they are right now, to where I couldn't sit next to them, I would cancel the fucking flight. I wouldn't just be like, oh, when I get there, I'll figure it out and just take somebody else's seat. No. So, I mean, I'm with this girl 100%, but I think this is just like a larger conversation about just entitlement in general, and how now they're just roping their kids into it because they can, or they feel that they can, and it's just wrong, and it infuriates the shit out of me.
I am very particular about my seating on an airplane, and I want to be comfortable. I wanted window seats, and that was... Okay, so this original video was about people with kids trying to figure out seating on airplanes and not planning ahead. I don't really have a story about someone and their kid, but I do have a story about just people in general not understanding seats in an airplane. So last May I went to Europe with my mom, and we got 2 different seats. I got a window seat, she got an aisle seat, because she likes to be able to get up and do whatever she needs to do, and I like to look out the window. So when we get on the plane, there was already somebody sitting in that middle seat, which is fine. I knew that was going to get booked. I don't really care if there was somebody sitting in between us. We weren't hoping that it wouldn't get filled or anything. It's just that when I told her, hey, you know, I got the window seat. Could you please let me sit down? She was like, oh, well, we could just switch if you want. And I was like, no. I picked the window seat. Can you please let me pass? And she's like, oh, I need to get up for you to do that? Yes. I wasn't rude to this lady or anything, because honestly she could have just thought I meant that I wanted to switch. Maybe there was something I was saying that was confusing. But what's weird is that on my second flight, on the way back, I had a similar situation happen. I got on the plane, and again, my mom had the aisle, I had the window, there was going to be somebody in the middle, and they were already there when we walked up. And they had their tray down, they were eating food, and they were on the phone. So when I walked up and was like, hey, I have the window seat, and I just scooched past you, she was like, okay. And then sat there and continued to talk on the phone and eat her food. And I was like, can I just I have the seat, can you just, like, please move? I was trying to be polite. I'm not a rude person, but I was trying to get my point across, like, hey, you kind of need to get up. Don't mean to interrupt your meal. And, she said, oh, I need to get up for you to get to the window seat? Yeah, you need to get up? You want me to just straddle you? You want me to just step over your food? How are you expecting me to do this?
Why are people with children under the impression that the world needs to bend for them?
You see now, sis, I am people with children, right? So don't generalize that situation with just people with children. Because there be people who be wanting to sit next to their husbands or whomever. Same scenario. It's not with their kid. It's just whoever they want to sit next to. Okay, that's one. Two, I feel you. I would hate for someone to sit in my seat if I pay for my seat. Window seat, that's mine. So I feel you on that. So just do better wording, because generalizing people with children to bend over because we decided to have kids, I don't give a fuck about you. You know what I'm saying? So better wording. You hit the nail on the head when it came to, expectations on the plane and stuff like that. But just better wording for the beginning of the video. Toodles.
Why are people with children under the impression that the world needs to bend for them?
As a mum, I agree with her. I thought like this before I had kids, and then now that I have a baby, I still think exactly the same. And people said I wouldn't, and I do. That's right. I saw an example of this before I was even pregnant with her that made my blood boil. Someone I know that I had on Facebook went to a restaurant in the city or Docklands or something like that, and went to go change their baby and found out there was no change room in the restaurant they went to. God forbid. They name and shamed the restaurant. They gave them a bad review, plastered them all over Facebook, and then went as far as to start a petition with the council that every single restaurant or place should have baby change rooms. What? Ma'am, you're a parent now. You have to plan. The world doesn't have to revolve around us. And do you know what? The world actually does accommodate for us pretty well. In Australia anyway. We have change rooms. We have high chair access. We have all that stuff mainly everywhere. There might be a select few places like restaurants who don't want kids running around, and that is okay. She wanted to go play. If I get invited somewhere, if I go somewhere to eat, guess what? I'm looking up ahead of time to see if they have facilities to accommodate for my baby. If they don't, I bring the facilities, and if we're not welcome, that is okay. I don't expect everywhere to welcome us because I understand not everyone wants to wine and dine around children, and that is okay. And if restaurants don't want to host children, that is also okay. Point is, if you've not been organised or you haven't planned ahead, it is not at the detriment of everyone else who doesn't have your kids.
Please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts, and also share your story time if you have a story time like this about airplane and entitled people. Please go down in the comment section and share your thoughts, but please keep it respectful. You're on the channel, we're allowed to disagree, but we do it in a respectful way. Okay, so here's my thought on this. I agree with the sister that said that it's not going to be all everybody that has a child. It's just maybe selected people. And hearing other people's story talking about people that don't even have children, people on the number, they just feeling entitled on the airplane, thinking that you're going to. I get it. It's just people being people. There are some people that are entitled, and they feel like if they don't prepare, when they get there, they will sort it out. And yeah, I can just talk anybody, roll a sympathy or make a funny face, and then just try to emotionally blackmail people to let them have what they want. You get what I'm saying? In terms of the child situation, I feel like some people that have children see the children as an accessory for them to make people do things for them. I'm saying this from experience, having people around me that have children, and some of them, they are so entitled and they use their children more like a accessory for that entitlement. Because if you say, oh, so why didn't you meet up with the dinner we planned off the other day? Why didn't you show up? They're like, oh, my daughter, okay, your daughter, what? So why didn't you do the right to probably make plans and all that? So I get it how some people really feel entitled and use their children as an accessory to their entitlement. It is, but I feel like this case is particularly to entitled people, not just people that have children. Because there are some people, I have a friend that has kids, man, she's the best planner ever. The way she's a mom is so admirable. She gets things done, and things has to be done right, just so that you can accommodate she and her children. And she's not entitled about it. Why I have a friend that every little thing, every little excuse she wants to give for anything that is not done right or anything, she always use her children. So yeah, I just feel like it's just people being people, and it is what it is. Anyway, guys, please go down in the comment section and share your thought. Love to know what you think about this conversation down in the comment section, but please keep it respectful. Here on the channel, we're allowed to disagree, but we do it in a respectful way. Go ahead and share this video with somebody that you want to be part of the conversation, because that's what we do here. We have banging conversation. So go ahead and share this video. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, smash the like button, because this helps YouTube to push out my content for more people to see, and that will be you supporting your girl. With that all said, guys, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Deuces.